Good evening and welcome back to the third tier. It's Monday, the 23rd of August. Tonight we're looking back at the last two game rounds with a few upsets and some fantastic victories. Added to that, some spectacular goals. Tonight, for the first time in 3 weeks, we're back together as a threesome, or should I say the three amigos? Threesome's probably sounding the wrong word. So I'll introduce you first to Graham. Graham, good evening.
How are you doing? I think I let you down last week, didn't I? I was busy travelling back and wasn't trusting my Wi-Fi, but I'm pleased to be back for the threesome.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, congratulations is in order, I believe. Did you want to tell the listeners and viewers your good news that happened tonight?
Yeah, a bit of good news. Obviously, to some people who may have known me in the past, or if you don't, that's fine. I've been working in women's football for a long time and recently got a role within the Glasgow City media team. Those who are unaware of Glasgow City, 14-time champions, Champions League. So I will now only be referred to as Champions League media man on the show henceforth.
Are you accredited yet?
Not yet. Sadly, can't see that happening at any point.
And of course, good evening, Matt. It's good to have you back, ever present as always. How you doing?
I'm good. I thought I'd join the wrong podcast. Now I'm slightly disappointed that I haven't. I'm very good. Jill's won at the weekend.
Yeah, in my notes, I've actually got "Can we still be friends?" after my two wonderful predictions for the Jills. But they did you proud, and you sit 4 points.
I would just like to say that last Monday I predicted 1-1 at Wimbledon and 2-1 at home to Morecambe. So I think this myth is officially busted. But if you want to keep running with it, that's absolutely fine.
I do not anymore after my predictions, mate. So tonight we're going to go ahead and look at the last two sort of game weeks. We're going to pick out our own sort of results from the last two. If not, we'll be here for a couple of hours going through every single game. And we'll take a look at this weekend's fixtures and some of the stats and headlines from League One over the past four game rounds. So Matt, we'll start with you. You've chosen Wickham 1 from Tuesday. Tell us all why you've chosen that game.
It just stood out for me in terms of it being a fixture of two teams that I predicted to be right up there in my season preview. And when we did the 1-24s, I think I had them both in the playoffs, Wickham 4th and Wigan 5th. And it just looked a really good matchup. There were some really interesting tactical notes as well that I've written down as well. Max Power ended up at right back again. I thought he'd gone back to Wigan to play centre midfield, but it seems he played there. Done all right by all accounts, it seems, to be fair. Another interesting one for the home side was Will Keane looked like he was operating as a number 10 with Charlie Wyke in front of him as the more orthodox number 9. It was certainly set up on all the graphics that I could find as a 4-2-3-1 and not a 4-4-2. So something to keep an eye on moving forward. I'm sure Wigan fans will be able to shed a little bit more light on it, and I might have that slightly wrong, but I can only go off of what I found on the internet. Wickham, interestingly, and you'll know more about this particular player from his time at Blackpool. Sully Kaikai operating as a right wing back, and Gareth Ainsworth looks like he's gone full football hipster. He was playing a right back at right centre back and a left back at left centre back, and they look like they lined up in a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2, depending on how you look at it when you're without the ball or with the ball. And yeah, it just looked like a really entertaining game. I've seen the highlights. Could have been about 2-3 at half time. There was loads of sitters missed. And then Callum Lang scored an absolute beauty second half. Absolutely thumped one in the top corner. And I think it was Will Keane afterwards, just before the end, had a great chance. Headed one against the underside of the bar.
Yeah, hit the bar, yeah.
Charlie Wyke scored. Did Charlie Wyke score?
Not again, no. But we'll let you talk about that in a little while.
Shock.
But Wickham do what they do, and that was they keep going right to the very end. And typical Gareth Ainsworth team performance, and they never know when they're beat. And it was Stewart that came up with the header in injury time to earn them a well-earned point. Still unbeaten. Wigan haven't lost since the opening day at Sunderland. And I think both teams have settled into the season really well, and it bodes quite well for my pre-season predictions with them. Just don't ask me to talk about Ipswich and Charlton, who I had first and second.
Absolutely, and it's another side note to Kai got another assist. I think it's his second, and been involved in 4 goals, but got 2 assists. So he started life at Wickham really well. and settling them down a lot quicker than he did at Blackpool last season, so he could prove a pivotal player, especially adapting to play wing back as well. I think it did look like a 5-3-2. For any Wycombe fans listening or want to comment later on, let us know how you did line up.
That was at the end of the day. Jack Grimmer and Joe Jacobson, who were predominantly fullbacks, had them as the outside centre backs as well.
Yeah.
So got a strong bench as well, Wycombe. I made some notes. There was people like the three substitutes come on were Akinfenwa, Thompson and Horgan, all good players. People like Freeman, Samuel didn't even get on. So they've got loads of options, Wycombe. They've got Zan Vogt scoring as well now, but we'll talk about more of that Saturday's games. But yeah, they look like a proper outfit and a proper team at this level this season.
Yeah, really solid. Over to your beloved Sunderland for your match choice, Graham, on Tuesday. I think it was a case of Burton riding a perfect storm in the end.
Well, I did say I thought Burton would do all right, didn't I, on the prediction show? I did predict Lincoln would win the league, but Chris Maguire, I've noticed, hasn't been in the squad yet. And I did say that they would win the league based on him deserving to win the league. So therefore, my prediction, I revoke the prediction. But on a serious note, I said Burton would do quite well. I think anyone who's seen the game would have probably seen that we absolutely murdered them. But football doesn't really matter how many passes or shots on target or corners or passes or what's it again? Goal, expected goals. That's the hipster one. Yep, Gareth Ainsworth would probably love that.
I do, not hipster, but
you haven't reached Gareth Ainsworth level yet. But they won 1-0 at the end of the day, one shot on target. I think looking at the stats, it was, I think, Sunderland had 20 shots-ish, 2021. I think about 7 or 8 of them were on target. Possession-wise, it was, I think, if I remember correctly, 65 towards us. We had close to 500 passes. They had closer to 300. We had more corners. We had much more of the ball. It's probably the best performance Sunderland have put in. And yet Burton just kind of turned up. But, you know, as a Sunderland fan, it felt like one of those games where we could have played until now and we probably still wouldn't have scored. And Burton, you always felt like that was going to happen. But I know, obviously, they lost at the weekend, Burton. I know that kind of their run stopped, should we say. But I think Burton will do well. They look effective. Johnny Smith looked dangerous. And obviously, he got the goal. I think someone that Lee Johnson knows quite well. Yeah, there was the crack the shot off the bar as well. That was the kind of weird thing. You thought, like, all night, it just felt like no matter what happens, that'll happen. And then we obviously scored in the last minute. It got disallowed. I was raging about it. Looking back, he probably was offside. I think it was a slight Tom Flanagan curl of his hair was slightly offside. Hard to tell on iFollow, though. How do you decide on iFollow who's on and offside? I'm starting to quite like it. It's like the opposite of VAR because you just can't pause it correctly at any point. Unless you're playing Charlton, who have about 10 camera angles. I like Charlton's camera angles. Fair play.
I was going to say for the listeners and the viewers, it wasn't Matt who tweeted an absolute shocker after I watched that in full speed straight after the game. It did look at full speed initially. It was well on, but I've watched it about I watched it about 100 times after I got absolutely battered on the comments, and yeah, he was offside. So apologies to everyone. I wasn't going to delete it. I'll stand up and face my truths, but
I deleted mine. You could have just done it. It would have been fine. I deleted mine. I was like, fair
too many people saw it, and I'm not a coward, but I got it wrong. But I think Burton, if you look at those two results, would have expected arguably 3 or 4 points and probably walk away from the last 2 game rounds with opposite feelings in each games. But ultimately, like you said, they've stuck around with 3 points. Before I go on to my game, good evening, John. Good evening, 2 clubs, 1 love. I don't know if that's Killy Shrew. Please let us know if you are.
Yeah.
I'm also now singing Blue. So thanks very much for that. 1 love and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 love. Oh, let's stick to the comments. Evening. Evening, Andy. Evening, Ian. I know you're not very happy at the moment. Please don't go too hard on your team. It's only 1 game. Ian's still there. Yep, everyone. Yeah, hi, mate. Nice to indeed. Killy Shrew, nice to see you, mate. My game, I've gone for Cheltenham 2, Ipswich 1. It was it a shock now? I don't know.
Ian predicted, didn't he? Just to cheer Ian up a little bit. He did predict that on the live comments last week. So fair play to Ian for calling that one.
And I was about to say, we absolutely said we'll come back to that. And Ian, fair play. It's a quality prediction. And We'll go through some Saturday's fixtures and just talk about Ipswich a little bit, but I'm not sure if it was a shock or not. At the end of the day, Ipswich have got an incredible squad, but their start to the season has been left to the imagination a little bit. But they score a quality goal with Matt Penny opening the score and a really good strike. And I don't know if anyone else has seen it. Macaulay Bonne for on goal. Anyone seen
when
it?
He lofts it over the keeper and then tries to head it in from a yard and just heads it into the floor. Yeah, it's awful, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he did make up for the weekend.
Yeah, I did say for someone who's been so assured in front of goal in general, I think he hasn't shown lack of composure, and he's settled to Ipswich really well pre-season and and in the early games. But that's just one of those moments where he just never wants to watch back. And like you say, he was man possessed on Saturday. But Wright and Boyle punished him. 2 Bentosa throws sort of caused a bit of chaos. They did deal, some reading back and talking to the cruncher for Talking Town. He said they were dealing with the throws well all night. It's just the second and third balls bounce around in the box, and ultimately that's what came from Cheltenham's 2 goals. And Boyle finished it, latched onto the ball after a throw-in that was cleared sort of not very well, pinned around in the box, and he striked it home. And it's a fantastic result for Cheltenham and added a bit of misery to Ipswich's start of the season. And after you take Saturday's result for Ipswich in isolation, it's a half decent result, but they haven't started well at all. And me and Matt, like I said, holding our heads a little bit because we're predicting to finish first. But it's only 4 games, missed the season so far, of course. But it wasn't a great start for Ipswich, and you'd expected them even after Bond's miss to go on and at least trouble Cheltenham. But fair play to them, picked up a good win. Credit to Cheltenham as well. They've had to suck up the pressure and get those 2 goals, and that started their season off nicely. Going through the other results, Accrington 1, Doncaster 0. Talking of clangers, has anyone seen the goalkeeping error that led to Doncaster's goal? Accrington's goal, sorry.
Is that James? Oh no, it was the lad Pontus Dahlberg, wasn't it? I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it weren't great, was it? Bless him. But again, he's another one that went and rectified it at the weekend because he was absolutely outstanding against Portsmouth, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a little while.
I feel like that happens a lot in League One. There was a discussion surrounding League One goalkeepers, and I feel like obviously I've only got 4 years longer than I would have liked, but 4 years experience of it nonetheless. And I feel like almost every goalkeeper, barring 1 or 2, maybe maximum 3, always have a clanger in them, but then always have the ability to be like player of the match the next game. It's such a... Is that the way League One works? I don't know, because there's the argument about Lee Burge, who obviously won goalkeeper there last year, and he divides opinion, shall we say. But he got the most clean sheets and stuff like that. But he's got
no, he didn't. Chris Maxwell got the best clean sheets, mate, by about 2 or 3 in the end.
Something like that. I mean, Burge had that.
Keeping any clean sheets against Blackpool last season?
Who?
See you tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. Can we sim that game? Because I don't think anyone is that bothered about it. We could just press the sim button and just watch the players kick about. It'd be all right.
In full speed, yeah. Wimbledon. Matt, just quickly, we've sped through our sort of first game. So do you want to talk about Gillingham 1, Wimbledon 1?
That won't take long. We were rubbish for about 97 minutes and 45 seconds. David Tatonda got sent off just as we was about to make an attacking change. Wimbledon kept the ball better than us without creating loads of clear-cut chances. And then in the final seconds, we smashed a long ball downfield. It broke to our teenage right-back, who had a big swing at it. It hit the centre-half on the head, or the arse, or the back of his legs, or his shin, or something, and looped in the most slowest of slow motion into the back of the net. And we all went absolutely mental in the away end, and we walked away thinking... we should apologise because it was a pants down, credit card, wallet, the whole lot, robbery. But we'll take it.
Seen that video.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a quality video. And again, good to see fans back. Not so good for Wimbledon, but nonetheless, it was you stick in the game and, every goal is a goal, right? So, evening, James. Nice to see you, mate. Hope you're well after the weekend. Other results. You need to message Charlie, not James. Charlie's the one that snuck into our DMs and said, "When do I talk to Matt after our victory on the weekend?" So you should maybe
3-0 victory. He said as well, 3-0, and I did remember. But all jokes aside, I did meet James and Charlie before the game. They looked very posh in their suits and ties and fancy shirts, and they were very complimentary and said after the game that we probably just about did enough. Well, James did. I've not heard from Charlie since.
That was
And yeah, looking forward to try and getting up to the Mazuma in February.
Yeah, we should try and go. Actually, it's a long old slog, but it'd be good if we can all meet and speak to the boys. Ian, is Plough Lane a good fan experience, Matt?
Stocky went to go and get drinks. He left in the 38th minute. All he wanted was 2 bottles of Coke, 2 bottles of water, and a bag of crisps, and he got back 15 minutes into the second half. So I'll leave it there.
Apparently, it's $6.70 a pint in like a pub near or something, which to a northerner, obviously, as you'll know, Tom, is scary things.
I'm not northern. I've been
I think there must be a problem around the grounds at the moment because there's no hot food anywhere that we've been. We went to Crawley. There was no hot food available apart from a microwave sausage roll. There was no hot food available at Wimbledon. Stocky said that there was hundreds of people in the kiosks, but about 60% of them were just looking at their phones or wandering around aimlessly. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't know whether it's COVID related or staffing issues because they've had to try and recruit on the hurry up because of everyone being laid off through the pandemic. But Boz wasn't happy. You know Boz from our videos. He likes a sugary beverage. And he had to make do with a Diet Coke. He said he was okay. If it had been as a Coke Zero, he'd have just got up and left.
It would have been scenes like in France last night.
But no, the ground's lovely. The ground is really nice, and it looks like there's probably room to develop. But the stand that we were sat in behind the goal is, if you look to the far end where their hardcore home support is, that they can probably build onto that because it's like a brick wall behind. They probably can't do much the other side because it's they've got flats back into it. But yeah, it's very modern. And
good news is
it's a nice ground.
There's hot food. The New York Stadium.
The hot food debate is won by Accrington. Like the pie was so good. It was a butter pie. It was so good at Accrington that I went back for another one and just like, I was going to say pied off the second half, but that's ironic. Basically pied off the last 20 minutes just to make sure I was in the queue to get it was a butter and potato pie. So yeah.
Proper big up Andy Holt for his hospitality.
Yes.
Andy
Willie, I'd like to see a price of Bovril survey. Absolutely.
No, I don't care about I don't care for Bovril. That must be a northern thing because no.
Talking about being pied off, we've got to stick it to an hour tonight because Matt has got something to watch, haven't you, Matt? Won't go into that. Lincoln 0, Bolton 1. It's a fantastic result for Bolton. That again, you know, I think is that first win.
Bolton.
How'd they get on?
No, I think they won. They drew. Yeah, they might. Yeah, they drew 3-3, didn't they? The first 2 games. We was all laughing, saying it was going to be 3-3. Yeah, so that was their first win last Tuesday. Yeah, of course, because we're back a week, aren't we? And then we've got to talk about Saturday. Yeah.
MK Dons had 2, Cheltenham 1 was a fantastic result after they went 1-0 down. It's good to see Troy Barrett and Mo Issa score again. Mo Issa specifically putting the doubters wrong when he got his move back to MK Dons or to MK Dons. After his Peterborough. Not much success for Peterborough, or not much in the memories of the fans, but it's good to see him scoring goals. I can probably sort that out, to be fair, if I can get some the best pies.
That's one hell of a description, that, isn't it? This is because you started this off with a threesome at the beginning, Tom, and it's all gone.
I meant the whole notes. I was like, I'm not going to say threesome. I meant we're back as a free, and I still said threesome. I was going to say three musketeers, 3 amigos, anything. But
threesomes and orgasmic pies. This has gone horribly wrong this evening.
A threesome with orgasmic pies does not sound as bad as you originally would have thought. I'm now. Get the hot
Moving on. Jonathan, this is going to be a podcast about food. I'm going to Mr. Fish and Chips at Rochdale, best in the business.
Welcome to the pie tier.
Right, back to the football. Morecambe 0, Rotherham 1. Ian can sort of tell us about that. But
Ian commented and said we need to talk about Michael Smith's goal. Here it is, the comment. Wasn't it wind assisted? That's what James told me, the Morecambe fan and director on my match preview on Thursday. He said that it was wind. It's a good hit. I'm only joking. And James was very complimentary of Rotherham and said they're a very accomplished side at this level. And he was quite happy the fact that they competed for so long against Rotherham. James said, and Rotherham just about edged it.
Yeah, again, no one expected Morecambe to start, especially against the likes of Ipswich, etc. And you think they've competed well with Gills and they've competed well with Rotherham, and that just shows against the weaker teams that they're going to do just fine. And they're they're ever so confident they're still signing players. So again, we think, like we said, no 1-24s, they'll be just fine. Oxford picking up an important win against Crewe. Crewe look struggling at the moment. Cambridge getting a late equaliser, or towards the end of the game equaliser against Plymouth as well. Probably Plymouth a bit disappointed with that after beating Gills. Wanted to build on it, but they did on the weekend. But Cambridge will definitely be happy with their last two matches. So moving on to Saturday's matches, Matt, will come back round to you. What have you picked for your game of the day on Saturday?
It had to be Gills. First win of the season. I was going to say in front of a full house, but it weren't. It was anything but, unfortunately. It was under 4,000, which was a little bit disappointing. Morecambe bought just over 100 down, so fair play to them again, because it's a mammoth trip for them.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of home support, it's a little bit concerning that there was only 3,700 odd Gills fans. But to be fair, those were there did make a decent noise. The Rainham was absolutely jumping, especially second half. And I thought we were decent. We were very good. We've been decent in patches all season. Like, we took half hour to get going against Lincoln, and then we bossed them. Plymouth, I didn't go. That's the only game I've missed so far, but apparently were good first half and then just didn't turn up second period. Wimbledon was a write-off, but Crawley in the cup, we were decent in spells, much change. And then Saturday, aside from probably 15, 20 minutes after the equaliser, we were the better side, I felt. It was a good game for the neutral, I imagine. If you wasn't a Morecambe or a Gillingham fan, you'd have probably turned up, paid your money and thought, yeah, this is a decent game. And both sides were trying to win it second period. Mustafa Carriol's free kicks, absolutely outrageous. We were right behind it. It's just one of them that just keeps going in a straight line.
It seemed to move after it even hit the net. You kind of still envisaged it going on at Stravels, didn't you?
Yeah, it looked like it was just going to go straight through the back of that stand and down into the high street. But it was a great hit. And yeah, there's really positive signs around Carriol now. He's starting to get up to speed in terms of fitness. He's still got a decent turn of pace. I know he's 32 now. And he's got two good feet, and he played two positions. He started off up front, right next to Big V, and then second period we changed the system and he went out wide and he got beyond the fullback a couple of times as well. So dare I say it, he looks like he's going to become the Jordan Graham replacement if we do play that system. I'm not saying the numbers will be the same as Jordan, but he certainly looks a more than able player to come in and try and fill those shoes at the moment. The young lad Daniel Edseed, who was on loan from Norwich, he made his debut. He was very good for an hour. Just a good, solid, all-round team performance. But Morecambe, I said this on my Matchday Live, I've put it on Twitter since, they'll be in no trouble at all this season from what I've seen. I've watched them live once, obviously, and I've seen their results and their performances. They've got a centre-forward that knows where the back of the net is, even though our keeper should save it. They've got good experience in other areas, the likes of Toombs, who plays in the middle of the park, Diu Garaga, I think his name is. Adam Phillips, I think it is, they've got on loan, was very good. Defensively, they got, big centre halves. They got fullbacks that like to get on. They've got interchangeable wingers. James said on the preview that they've got a couple out, but the people that come in don't drop the standard at all. And Stephen Robinson seems to know what he's doing, and I think they'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, if he was pressed to say, did Gillingham do enough to deserve it, I'd say yes. Was it a penalty? It's one of them. I'm a Gillingham fan, I'll say yes. If I'm a Morecambe fan, I'll say probably no. But, and I'll hold my hands up to this, if you're going to give it on Danny Lloyd, you've got to give the one that Robbie McKenzie does in the first half when he brings down their player. So in that sense, we got a bit of luck. We probably deserve a little bit of luck after missing so much of pre-season with COVID, and we move on. But no, Morecambe will be absolutely fine this season.
Yeah, just my 2 pence on that. I'm flabbergasted how the first pen isn't given, and then I had to watch the replay of your penalty about 2 or 3 times. So I don't actually know what happened. I just saw a body drop.
It's not the first one because I couldn't see it because my seat in the ground is behind that goal. So I literally couldn't see a thing in the ground because the defender was in the way of our player. But the more I've seen the replay, I think it's a pen. It's not for the first one where he's pulling Amar down. It's the one, if you just watch Danny Lloyd's feet, he just clips it away from the defender and then a leg comes in and just catches him on the ankle. Whether there's a lot of contact, I'm not sure, but there is contact, so it's a penalty for me.
I think it's a penalty, but it's the way that he goes down, because when I first watched it, when you retweeted it, I was like, oh, he's looking for that. And
the Morecambe one or the Gillingham one?
The one where it was the one you retweeted, so it would have been the Morecambe one. The one where he's like, it's not given, and he kicks him, and he's like, you can see he's kind of clipped his foot like that.
Yep.
This pen is really handy. And like as he hits him, it's the way he just goes, and that just doesn't win him anything. And I know referees are meant to be like impartial and they're meant to see things like this, and you can quite evidently see being clipped. But if you're watching that in quick time and you're seeing the guy doing like a swan dive, there's going to be that moment of doubt, and we all know League One refs are not that great in the first place. So asking them to make a decision like on the spot, well, not my experience anyway, is like probably you can see why he hasn't give it. But then if you slow it right down, it is a penalty. But I think if he just goes down as if you would go down normally, it probably looks a lot more blatant and it makes the decision a lot more easier. But then again, that's why I'm not paid to be a referee. I would prefer not to be one. It's not worth the hassle.
Totally agree on that.
And great to see Verdine get a goal, kick his season off. We were big fans of him last season, so hopefully he can crack on from here. Graham, over to you, mate. What game have you chosen from Saturday?
I went for Accrington and Crewe because I really like Accrington and Crewe. They're just like football manager teams that I like to manage. But on a serious note, like I know we spoke about Crewe, and I think they do have a little bit of a soft underbelly, which kind of came out on Saturday. Whereas Accrington, I just think the ability for them to have no money and keep producing like non-league gems out of nowhere is just a joke. Like it shouldn't really happen how many players they produce. At one point, they should probably just get relegated, and they just don't. They never even look close to it. If anything, they go on an upward trajectory. But I quite like the clash of the two styles. I think sometimes like Crewe, obviously we know what they're like. They've got an identity. They've had it for a long, long time. And they're a nice side to watch. On the flip side, Accrington are far from kick and rush, far from it. But they've got lots of energy, a lot of strength. Obviously, with the centre forwards are big, burly lads that like to get in the way of people. And it was a good match to watch. Like, for the first time, I'm not going to lie, Quest very rarely makes me kind of sit and stare at things for a while if Sunderland aren't on. And I think the viewers have got used to that. But I sat and watched it because there were some brilliant saves in it. From both keepers, really. But, I mean, you've really got to give credit to, obviously, the Accrington Stanley goalkeeper, because he really, really kept them in it. Richards, he makes a phenomenal save at the end.
The one with his right hand,
yeah. I mean,
it's a joke.
Looking at it at the game itself, you see like, but it was last minute, so it didn't really matter.
Accrington's
keeper Trafford, isn't it? He's on loan from Man City.
Yeah, was it not Richards that was in goal?
No,
forgive me. Yes, forgive me.
Yeah, Trafford in goal. He's on loan.
You're absolutely right. It's Trafford. That's my mistake.
That save is, as you say, it's absolutely phenomenal.
And Trafford's only about 18, 19, isn't he? I mean, I only have to kind of reiterate how good Callum Doyle's been at Sunderland to see that Man City are producing some real players. Like, and I know it's a third tier podcast here, and I know we all know that Manchester City are very good, but you just need to look at the technique on the save as well. Like you're saying, it was just phenomenal, and it wasn't the first save he made. And I mean, I afterwards seen the saves, and I was like, that's not bad. Like, who's that? And you look at it and you see his age, you see his lack of experience. And I mean, when you're watching the chances that Crewe have and stuff like that, a lot of them are like ones where if it goes in the bottom corner, if it goes in the top corner, you can't attribute any blame to him. But at the same time, there was good saves on the opposite side from Richards. I think, like I say, it's a contrasting style. There was a couple of corners that went in. I think Nottingham obviously got the goal. I think he almost got a second one. I'm sure it was Nottingham that hit the bar. And it was just a nice watch. For once, it's not always the best watch sometimes. Games are clashing styles, but it was a good game. It was close, good saves in it, and it was a lot more than just a 1-0. And obviously they went down 10 men at the end there, but it was the 89th minute. There's not much you can really do about that. But I think Accrington are going to surprise people this year. I don't think they'll hit playoffs. I think they have this ability to get to a certain extent, and then the squad size is sometimes what can let them down. It's just the way it is, and credit to them for even being in the discussion. But I like watching Accrington. I like watching Crewe. I think they've both got the abilities to beat any side in this league on their day, and that's.
I'm concerned about Crewe now. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I think they've got two more that missed Saturday, haven't they? Because they didn't play because of transfer speculation. I think it was one of them's Blackpool, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the lad.
Owen
Dale. Yeah, and there was one other that didn't play as well. And you think suddenly they've lost at least 7 of that team that got them into League One. And
Dale was sort of linked with a few clubs, Sunderland included in that earlier in the season. I was quite surprised to see him to see him stay, because obviously you've seen the ability he's got. There's a lot of good young lads in the Crewe team, which I think naturally are going to be picked off. Ainley's very good. I was quite surprised to see Manron playing more of a wing role as opposed to.
Yeah, he played left-hand side, didn't he? Which is his game at all. And then they had the veteran Chris Porter was up front, wasn't he? I think he was 38, which he might still be fit, but you'd rather Mandron in the middle.
Yeah, I listened to Coleman's pre-match discussion on Accrington Stanley's website, and he spoke again so well about how he wants to continue to attack the league, and every credit to them, because he said we'll continue to try and be defensively organised, but we're going to continue to attack and try and hurt teams as well. And they had that what do you call it? I don't know the word. Like I say, they lost a few games last season by a lot of goals, didn't they? The tendency to sort of concede a lot of goals, but when they did win games, they're very, very good wins, and they played some incredible football, and they set up so well. Any Coleman side does, and I think this year not being impacted by COVID. I know Gab Sutton had them second, fifth,
sixth. I think he had them definitely in the playoffs, didn't he? Yeah,
fifth. Yeah, it was fifth. Sorry, and he could be, potentially spot on. They do need to add a little bit more talent, but they have ticked over the signings. Like you say, they tend to sort of peel off towards the end of every season. But on the flip side to that, they are experienced League One side. And with teams struggling, I think they will be quite consistent in what they do. And as Matt's already alluded to, Artell is going to get pretty fed up soon, because he's already said that Owen Dale's going to be, he was ill Saturday, and he's going to be ill Tuesday, unless it's COVID. How does he know that? So it sounds like he is off, potentially going to Blackpool, of course, but he's had a couple of bids put in for him, and we offered $500,000 for him, and it's only going to take him to say, I want to go, and us to add maybe $100,000 to, if we stay up, goes to Crewe as well. And I don't think he'll play for Crewe again. Speaking to one of the Crewe lads on their podcast as well, I don't think he's going to be playing again for them.
Crewe got quite a few tough fixtures coming up in a sense as well.
Yeah, they're gonna struggle this year, and I think there's going to be another 2 years of transition. And
see, I think they might be all right, but I just think I think the game on Saturday is tough, man. I know Charlton haven't started that well, but Charlton will look at Crewe at home as their bounce back game, and when the season starts, and then you've got Morecambe, who've started well, and then you've got Burton. Yeah, they're both home games, but I don't think Morecambe or Burton are going to go to Crewe in their current form, especially if something happens at Charlton. And then all of a sudden, I think they'll be fine, but I think all of a sudden you go 6 games into the season and you're looking for your first win, you start to worry. But Ipswich might be exactly the same. Ipswich are the same, but they're paying players a lot more than Crewe.
I don't know. When you play in Porter, like Matt said up front, I mean, I know the guy's a half-decent striker, and every credit to them. He's scored goals, everywhere. But when you're relying on that, it's just too much. And like you said, Matt, he's put Mandron on the wing because he hasn't got we said this on the 134, they haven't got the depth yet or at all, because they haven't got much money unless they sell Dale and have a few lined up just this week. It's not looking...
That's the trouble as well, isn't it? Even if Dale goes, they've then suddenly got to build half a team in 5 days, which is concerning for me. And they just... Ian's just commented and said Crewe won't deviate from their philosophy, but densely they look dodgy. They do, and they've had a lot of creativity taken out of that team as well. And if you're moving Mandron to the side, then you've taken the top scorer out of the penalty area where he's at his most dangerous. So suddenly, I think I had him 19th. Yeah. Would Crewe fans take that now? Maybe a Crewe fan's on here watching and can tell us, but yeah. So Crewe fans are in transition at best, I think.
Crewe fans are going to like me because I'm going to back them to be fine. They're going to go on a win and run right now, I'm telling you.
You've also backed Lincoln to win the league, so...
No. Only if Chris Maguire played every game, I think, was in my head.
Oh, fair enough.
Now he's missed 2 or 3. I'm going to say Crewe win the league now.
I think this comment's for me from 2 Clubs, 1 Love. This is in relation to Paul Scully getting very excited about the Whitney Houston tribute band that are going to be playing at the Gillingham Football Ground after the Charlton game.
Really, actually? It's pretty
I am looking forward to Whitney, yes, in answer to your question. 2 Clubs, 1 Love. If she can play with her back to goal, she can run in behind, and she can score 15 to 20 goals a season, I'll be very excited. Otherwise, frankly, I don't give a toss.
I like it better, Whitney. Nothing wrong with Whitney. Prefer Brittany. Whitney's not bad.
Whitney to Brittany. We need 2 strikers.
Whitney to Brittany to Doncaster. How's that for a link, eh? Hey?
Yeah.
My game of the Saturday, ironically, was a 0-0. And we look to Doncaster, Holden, Portsmouth have started very well and holding their own really well. I think looking at the match stats, almost 50-50. I think Portsmouth 51% possession, Portsmouth had 12 shots, Doncaster about 9, 6 on target for Portsmouth, I think 3 or 4 for Doncaster. But it was a defensively, whether it was an assured display, I don't know. There was a couple of deflections that hit the bar. Obviously, there was an incredible penalty save. Dolberg took all the headlines after his clanger in the week, and we tweeted about his stats as well. He's kept, not only has he made some terrific saves, that penalty save is not a poor penalty even. I think Cowley's come out and even said he's not bothered really. Well, he's bothered about not winning the game, of course, but it's not a poor penalty that he can say he should have done better with. It's actually a really well-placed penalty with lots of power, and he's got down so quickly. And Doncaster their first point where they easily could have been turned over 2 or 3-0. And I think we predicted, didn't we, Matt, that Portsmouth would probably go and comfortably win 2-0, judging by their last couple of displays. So they dug in deep, and might be the catalyst to start kicking on and picking up a few more draws. But every credit to Doncaster, and I think Portsmouth and Cheltenham are kind of swapping places, aren't they, Matt? In our sort of 1 to 24s, we expected Cheltenham to start really well, but Pompey actually look quite assured, a bit like Wickham do.
Yeah, they look very solid. First and foremost, Danny Cowell have them hard to beat, and then he'll obviously still think they probably need a couple in at least.
Yeah, sure.
But I picked out John Marquis, didn't I, as a key player. And if he gets 15, 20 goals, they're going to be there or thereabouts. I had them sort of mid-table, but that was before they signed a few more players. So
easy to say, and I don't know why Williams is taking the penalty. I know he's won it, but
there was some sort of row. Not row, that's probably too strong a word. I don't know if any Pompey fans are watching, but yeah, there was some sort of discussion between him and Ronan Curtis, apparently. Curtis wanted it and then didn't get it, and obviously then the keeper saved it, and then everyone looks a little bit...
It's always a bit dodgy when you argue for a penalty, then it doesn't usually end up being scored. And I've seen it many a times, and they're arguing, and then it gets missed. Look at England with Henderson, for example, when he took it off Calvert-Lewin.
On the flip side, at least the Portsmouth players are arguing between themselves instead of attacking opposition players. That's a start. Anyone remember 2019? No,
it's only about 2 years ago. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
You're talking about Sunderland again.
Oh,
I know. Biggest club in the league, of course. Trying to get the viewers in.
Here we go. Right, it's on 15 live viewers at the moment.
If that goes to 14, you're out the stream. This is where leaving. Yeah, absolutely. Ian's put Donny improved from their dreadful start, but still look poor. Wellens is going to Stoke with one eye on Saturday. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. It's gone to 16. He's bloody got promotion. You can come in now. Oh, okay. I was going to move you up top, but not anymore.
Donny's a tough job, though. It's like that's such like the way that. Well, they lost Moore. It's like I think momentum's such a thing, isn't it? And it's like they had such momentum at one point in February last year, and you were thinking they've got 2 games in hand. You're looking at them automatic if they kept up the form, and then dropped off a bit. I think obviously they lost a couple of games, and then Darren Moore goes, and you put a lot of faith in Darren Moore, don't you? Like as a Doncaster fan, you can see the project and everything. And then I think Wellens is a decent young manager, but he's not as...
I'm not convinced with his... I don't know, with the title he comes with. I don't know what your opinion is, Matt, but...
He's done well, didn't he? He done very well with Swindon, didn't he? Getting them out of League Two.
Went to
Salford, but then lots of people have gone to Salford and found out that you get bitten on the arse a bit quickly.
Mate,
I think in fairness to Wellens at the moment, he's got no strikers fit, has he? I think Bogle's the only one.
Bogle's going. Bogle's going. They've got a replacement lined up.
They've got no Okanabire as well, have they? He's injured, so they are short of firepower. They lost Ben Whiteman in January. They lost James Coppinger to retirement, and people can talk about James Coppinger's age, but he was still influencing games last season. They got Bostock. It just screams transitional season written all over it for me.
Yeah, they're averaging 0.25 points per game at the minute. I know only 4 games in, but 0.25 points per game for Donny's even worse than I thought, really. The fixtures have been not the easiest, but certainly not the hardest.
Yeah, what they've done, they've drawn with Portsmouth, lost at home to Wimbledon, lost to...
Who did they lose to?
They got beat off...
Hold on, have a look for it.
I was getting there first.
They only had the one draw.
They lost to Sheffield Wednesday. It was really comfortable win.
That's what I was thinking, because I was thinking they've had 2 tough games, but Donny have been one of the better sides in this league for a while. I didn't realize John Taylor is a huge miss. Yeah, absolutely. But still, you'd expect a bit more from Donny. I didn't expect them to be around the relegation places. I know only 4 games in, but at the same time, it's a tough job. It is transitional, like Matt says. I think it's really a transitional period for a club like Donny.
Yeah, I'm 15th this season.
I thought that. I'm a bit concerned it might be a bit lower now.
Yeah, again, similar to Crew, I think but again, it is only 4 games, so don't start shouting at us fans of these clubs. We are
No.
not writing anyone off at all. It's just that, we can only go on what we've seen over 360 minutes of football so far.
The best part about doing podcasts is when you get something wrong, the other people get a shout at you. That's the best bit. I know that.
Because people can screen record it and tell us and remind us of everything. So
exactly. Why are we doing this again?
I don't know. On to the other result. I'll start with the early kickoff. Rotherham 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. Ian can maybe comment. I know he doesn't want to talk about it, but
I think he did, didn't he? I think somewhere.
Yeah, he just said we have to talk about it, but was it?
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, 2 halves. Yeah, it was. What Penn was at 1-0, 0-0 as well, wasn't it? To make it.
We're talking about good penalty saves. That from Peacock Farrell is absolutely outrageous. That penalty save is a joke.
Yeah, it's down to his left or his right.
I think,
his right. Yeah.
Arm out, yeah. But that's been it with such pace as well. It's
he's had a quality start to life at Sheffield Wednesday as well. And I was about to say, we put the graphic of Zuna up, didn't we? And a few Sheffield Wednesday fans piped up and said Farrell's up there, and they're not wrong. Another clean sheet against the side I had second as well in the 1-24s, I think. And I'll put Sheffield Wednesday, I think, just outside the playoffs as well. But boy, was I wrong. They're going to be up there this season. They look very, very good. So really comfortable. Sorry, mate. It's one the mistake for the second goal. He won't make that again, will he? And it's a really poor second goal to concede. But you move on, mate. You'll be just fine. And to stop Morecambe in their tracks, a decent side to go there and win, and you'll kick on from there. Bolton 2, Oxford 1. Did you see an off the Lions got? No, sorry. Was that Oxford 1? Yeah. See anyone's off the Lions equaliser?
Whose?
For Bolton.
No, I didn't actually.
I think it just pips your goal for goal of the weekend. It's absolutely phenomenal. Does a little bit of a skill.
Oh, yeah, it drops in from the left-hand side and smashes it into the far corner.
It's incredible.
It's nowhere near as good as Farrell.
I've started enjoying deflected shots going more though, because Nick Zanev is the goal? Is it the correct pronunciation for Wimbledon?
Wimbledon, yeah.
Obviously, the deflected goal we scored, you scored a deflected goal as well, Matt. And his reaction after both of them is brilliant. He kind of does that kind of falling man reaction. So I've suddenly much preferred a deflected goal that wrong foots the keeper, because it's far funnier than a screamer. Because the screamer just goes in, that's it. People celebrate. There we go. But he kind of does this. And it's something.
Goalie.
Yeah, it's been.
It's the fact that he did it against, like, as soon as Winchester hits the shot, it like hits this guy's leg, and you can see he's like, Gillingham again. Oh man,
yeah. Well, yours was a screamer compared to ours. Still,
I shouted, "Don't shoot," and I think a lot of people did, and then we kind of got 3 rows in front of us laughing at us. But I'll take that. It's fine.
Absolutely. Our result from the poll of the weekend as well, Cambridge 3, Burton 0. And if you're talking about deflections or unlucky circumstances, I know Cambridge deserved it overall looking back. And I've watched these highlights about 4 or 5 times now. So not only do they get 2 own goals, but anyone's seen it hits the bar, doesn't it? Then keeper saves on the line, it hits the bar again or something. But he scored 2 own goals. And then you get that at the other end. As it was definitely Cambridge's weekend, and like you said,
and Thomas Hamer is officially Cambridge's second highest scorer now, behind Joe Ironside.
Joe Ironside and Hamer.
He doesn't play for Cambridge,
but yeah, Hamer. Ironically, as well, I think someone said on the freak result, 1 shot on target. Yeah, Absolutely. I think someone said Thomas Hamer is looking absolutely incredible for Burton as well, literally on the podcast last week. And then that happened Saturday. But it's one of them things, and they won't be bothered by that at all. They've been through a lot worse at Burton. And like you said, they'll recover and go again. But what a result for Cambridge. And we had Burton running out of that one. But, lucky or not, they created the chances. They got the ball in the box, and that happened. Do we go through
Was it Sam Smith who got the first goal? Wasn't it?
From Reading,
anyone see the Wigan game?
I've seen
two late goals.
Very late goals. I didn't even realise that James McLean had gone back to Wigan until
we missed the tweet for that. But yeah, they reported it. I think it was actually on Saturday or Friday night.
Probably why we've missed it then if it's match
Friday night. I think potentially they said 7:00 or something. They tweeted it out and he got announced. And welcome back to
that Burton game. I've just looked at the stats for that. You'd just give up, wouldn't you? I'm not being funny. Burton had more shots on target than Cambridge had in total. Lost 3-0 and scored more goals than Cambridge as well.
3-0 as well. Looks so.
I looked at shots, 9 on target. Cambridge only had 7 shots in total, 2 on target.
Yeah, Ian's spot on talking about second tier. Huddersfield beat P in the Championship with 0 shots on target. Yeah, went for one goal.
Stat, isn't it, or a Football Manager stat?
Quite an interesting one with James McLean though, because he does kind of cause controversy wherever he goes for whatever reason. Obviously, he started at Sunderland, so I understand some of where it's come from. And I understand his position, but he was back within 2 days at Wigan and already caused controversy for another reason completely. He was talking about mentioned how Bolton were chasing him before he went to Wigan and stuff like that. And Ian Everett's come out and been like, no, I wasn't at any point trying to sign you in any way, shape, size, or form. And I know it's not the biggest controversy.
Wasn't it that James McLean denied that Bolton?
No, it was the other way around. I think it was Ian Everett.
He was adamant that Bolton were after him, but then the Bolton manager said we've not shown any interest at all. I think.
Yeah.
Which is a strange one. What if you're just making stories up? Then
is his own agent? He must be bored.
Andy Woolley's anyway. Back to the Bovril. Bovril was £2.30 at the weekend, so that's the only one we've had back on the feedback. So at least it was hot.
Somebody's going to get tongue from us, Wigan, when we start taking our chances. Yeah, Matt alluded to it as well. Blakey, with the Wigan game and the game before that as well. Who did they play before that? Was it home game as well? Was it a draw?
Obviously, I've seen a little bit of them, but were weirdly really good against us in the first 15-minute spell and then kind of fell off a bit. But
you've definitely played them at the right time, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's also...
beat Rotherham 1-0, didn't they, as well, Wigan? Drew 1-0 with Wickham, beat Charlton, and then...
Yeah, Rotherham, you both had chances you should have scored. That was it, yeah.
They've got more than, obviously, Charlie White in the squad, but I think it's probably not inconceivable for Charlie White to have another 30-goal season. I'd be really surprised. I don't know. It's just not
doing a lot of good work for Wigan. I know you banter all aside and stuff, but he's doing a lot of good work for him. I've spoken to a couple of Wigan fans, and
at this level, you
could have done with a Charlie White against Burton, I think, to take some chances.
I'll take Ross Stewart any day of the week, but there
absolutely. You go. Moving on, we'll sum up the rest of them. Credit to Fleetwood after conceding such a late equaliser. I think 87th minute, Alfie May got him back in it. They went up the other end of the pitch and scored. Shaden Morris with a goal, which is fantastic.
His first senior goal, wasn't it? I think as well. Yeah, great moment for him. And former host Ben will be feeling a lot more positive, I'm sure. I think he's not well today as well, so get well, Ben.
No, yeah, I was about to say, hope you're getting well, Ben. I did tweet him earlier as well, but. One game that did the only reason I wanted to shout out Doncaster match predominantly was because of the keeper, his return and what he's done to earn Doncaster the point. But another fantastic game for the weekend was the 2-2 for Ipswich and MK Dons. And the reason I said earlier Ipswich's result in isolation on Saturday was very good. They just haven't got started yet, have they, Graham? And they obviously haven't won yet. They've drawn a few games, but
it's a lot of money, mate. And I mean, I'm not one to stoke off rumours because I've never seen the contracts and I don't look at their bank balances. But I heard a rumour the other day that they're paying chaplains 16 grand a week, which is what I believe Will Grigg is honest about.
Wow.
To be fair, if Barnsley were paying him 18, 19, 20k and they've asked to pay the majority to get them, then...
And I think the other players as well, I think a lot of the ones that brought in are on close to 10k. I mean, it's a rumour mill.
Well.
Never believe a rumour mill. It's going to be, the truth will be somewhere in between. But I've heard that basically the new boys that brought in are on like almost 10 grand per week. And then Chaplin's on about 16. And when you look through their players, it kind of makes sense. But I think I said in the 24, 1 to 24 preview before the season that it felt a little bit like Ipswich had kind of gone, well, screw this. We need to get out of the division ASAP, and just spent a lot of money. I think a lot of people were probably quite jealous of that. Looking at it now, you're kind of going, is that the right option? But I'm sure they'll be fine.
There's always that risk, and it's not been the most horrendous start. It's not like they're bottom and they're not creating any chances at all. But we'll move on. Ian, shout out to Ben. His vlog was brilliant. Again, showed his emotion and Twine. Deadwood. Yeah, I think the keeper's got to do a lot better, John, personally. I think Hadaki's got to save that, but he's on target and he's hit it with enough power for it to go in. But
I think it's another one, isn't it? If you're an Ipswich fan, you're disappointed that the keeper's not saved it. And if you're an MK Dons fan, you're saying it's a brilliant free kick. And again, it comes back to what Graham just said about the wages. It's probably somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Shrewsbury, as two clubs, one love, is pointed out that Shrewsbury were 3-0 loss. They were clinical. Hardy, I think, getting 2 goals. He was in our tweet for one of the players of the weekend as well. Obviously, Sunderland won, getting that Winchester deflected goal, getting their season back on track. And obviously, Wickham looking solid as ever with their 1-0 win against Lincoln. They've just missed out a couple of times now. Lincoln 1-0 midweek. There's 2 losses in 2 games for them. But we'll move on to Saturday's fixtures. I'll just share my screen very quickly just to run through. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not. I'll talk you through them. It's not letting me do it, so apologies. We've got a Friday night game. We've got Burton versus Cheltenham. What's your predictions for that, Matt?
Friday night, eh? Of course. Oh yeah, Burton. Oh, that'd be an interesting one. You got to back Burton to have probably just enough. I'll go narrow home win.
You Graham, you're
Yeah, I shouldn't be after last week, but I'm a fan of Burton. I think they'll have just enough for Cheltenham. I think I said in the preview, I think Cheltenham will be all right, but I think Burton have got something about themselves this season. Take out the game on Saturday, but sometimes you get games like that, don't you, as we've kind of touched on. But I think Burton will be all right with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Maybe 1-0, I think. Maybe a 1-0.
Yeah. Well, listen to Ian because he's got everything spot on so far.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll go for a Burton 2-0 victory. I think Cheltenham will be organised, but Burton will want to react to the Cambridge match. Right, let's whiz through these with about 5 or so minutes to go. Rotherham, I will start us off. I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory against Doncaster. You, Matt?
Yeah, I tend to agree, to be honest. I think Rotherham will have too much for Doncaster. I know Doncaster picked up a point, but they just look so blunt in attacking areas. I think Rotherham will have too much from 2-0.
Rotherham efficient, if not that glamorous. Doncaster struggling. I think you said 2-0, Tom. I think I'll go with you on that. 2-0.
Cool.
4 2-0s, then Ian said 2-0.
Ian said 2-0 as well.
If Ian says it, they might as well not play. Yeah, Bolton, I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory. I think Cambridge will get a late goal, but Bolton will kick on still. Matt?
Of course, a tricky one, isn't it? Cambridge, huge win at the weekend, but Bolton just look absolutely terrifying going forward. 3-1 to Bolton. I think they'll have too much for Cambridge.
Graham?
Draw for me. Bit of confidence from Cambridge. We're wanting to build on it, come out the traps fast. Bolton probably have a little bit too much for them in some areas, but we'll probably have to defend the first 20 minutes. 1-1.
Charlton, I'm going to go bold, not bold, but just say Charlton are going to kick off their season really well and go for a 3-0 win against Crewe. Matt?
Charlton to win. I don't think it'll be that convincing. I'll go 2-1 Charlton.
I'll echo Matt on that. 2-1 Charlton. I think Charlton will win, but I think it'll be one of those ones where they'll need to win to kick off this season. and it'll be nervy, and they'll just get over the line just a little bit more than what Crew have, I think, especially with home advantage.
For me, I think Ipswich will finally kick off their season, and I'm going to go 2-0. I think they will definitely have enough, and they'll definitely finally get their first victory. Matt?
2-1. I still think they've got an error in them at the moment. A lot of their goals they're conceding are because of mistakes individually and collectively. So 2-1 to Ipswich. But yeah, agree, they're going to get off the mark finally.
Graham?
Wimbledon.
Really?
Yeah. I think Ipswich are going to struggle a bit longer. And Wimbledon played really good football when they came up on Saturday, and that was apparently their worst performance of the season from their fans. So if that was their worst performance, I thought they knocked the ball about well. They played good attacking football. Nothing to fear at Ipswich with the way they're playing.
Wimbledon 2-0. 2-0 as well. Wow.
Ipswich, I didn't say I was good at predictions. I didn't say I was good at them.
Just that they're going to win. Right. MK Dons, they will have enough, and it will be another 2-1 victory for Milton Keynes for me. Matt?
1-1. I don't think Accrington will get beat. I don't think it's a disaster for MK Dons as well. If they don't lose, that'll be 3 unbeaten as well, wouldn't it? So 1-1 for me.
2 each. I think they've both got, I wouldn't say leaky defences, but they can both be got at, I think. And I think with MK at home, if it was the other way around, I would have went Accrington Stanley, but I think with MK at home, they should get a couple of goals, but I think Stanley will have enough to get 2 goals beyond MK as well.
It's going to be controversial for James and Charlie maybe, but Sheffield Wednesday will have enough to beat Morecambe, and I think it'll be a 2-1. However, I do think Morecambe after these is controversial part. They will need to start picking up obviously points because their start was fantastic, riding the wave and having a bit of momentum behind them, but they can't continue if they do on Saturday to lose by the odd goal and stuff. So I'm going to go for a Sheffield Wednesday win, and hopefully Morecambe will bounce back after that. But they just look so good at the moment, Sheffield Wednesday. Matt?
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday for me just... they're not conceded yet, have they? But Cole Stockton scored in every game. 2-1 Wednesday.
Shout. Graham?
3-1 Wednesday.
Fair enough. With Lincoln, I think Jake has just put something. He's popped up. Good evening, Jake. Nice to see you in the chat. Imps in the mud this weekend, lads. Unfortunately, come on City.
Is that like Jill's in the blood, but just like moodier?
Imps in the mud.
Imps in the mud, lads. Unfortunately, come on City. Oh right, I see you. Yeah, you're struggling, mate. Not looking as good, but that's going to be an interesting game actually because Oxford just beat who they beat Shrewsbury, wasn't it 1-0 the other night?
Mm-hmm.
And they are potentially going to concede a couple of goals against you. So 1-1. I will go Oxford. Matt?
1-0 Oxford. I just think they've got more about them in forward areas at the moment.
Yeah, well, they started well, didn't they, against Bolton, but they did come unstuck and lose 2-1. So I did get a shout from when Bournemouth were 2-0 up and Oxford went 1-0 up. I got a good wave from our friends who we played in the playoffs last year. And at the end of the game, we drew 2-2 and they lost 2-1. So I got a good wave back at them. But I think Lincoln, if anyone's going to win, it might be Lincoln to kickstart their season again. But I'm going to go draw there, Graham.
The Michael Appleton / Chris Maguire derby, isn't it? I'm going to say I fancy Lincoln because they've got to start winning soon because I predicted them to win the league, so they need to hurry up. So I'm going to say Lincoln because I don't think they'll go that long without picking up a good, impressive win. I think it'll be narrow, 2-1, second goal coming later on.
All right, we've got a minute and a half, and we're all going to predict the last 3 results because, ironically and weirdly, you've got Gillingham and Sunderland the last 2. So I will go Plymouth 2, Fleetwood 1. I think Jeff Cott's on fire at the moment, and Hardy and him are looking really dangerous. Fleetwood are scoring goals. He scored 3 against Cheltenham, but I think Plymouth are not conceding at all, really. They're fine and they're at home, so I'm going to go 2-1 Plymouth. Matt, over to you for Gillingham.
Well, Shrewsbury are bottom, haven't they? They've not scored a goal. They've not earned a point. So if that was Gillingham rolling up there, they'd beat us 1-0. I've booked my ticket and the coach today. It might come and bite me on the arse. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Gillingham win.
I don't disagree. And you, Graham, for Sunderland game against Wickham?
I would go Sunderland. I've got to back my own team. I think it's quite obvious that I'm very much a biased Sunderland fan. Wickham are good, but I think it's Stadium of Light. Bit of history between the two clubs in recent years. And I think we're a better side than Wickham. So I think a nervy 1-0. Yeah, absolutely.
I won't give my predictions on especially Gillingham game. I'm going to say Shrewsbury to win just so Gillingham gets a positive result.
Wickham fans feel free to keep their back at me, like it's fine.
I missed Wigan Pompey. I do apologise. I'm going to go. Oh, have I missed it off? Is that on?
No, it's just the last one.
I have. It is. Sorry, I zoomed in just. I do apologise, Blakey, and I'll have that. I'm going to say 2-1 Wigan. Matt?
I think Portsmouth will concede for the first time this season, but I think they're playing well enough to get something score draw.
Okay, Graham?
Pompey. It pains me to say, but they're looking decent, aren't they? So Pompey. Yeah, I think it's a tough game, though. I could be very wrong with that. I often am. Wigan are good, but I just think they're missing a few chances at the minute where Pompey aren't, and that could be the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that concludes Saturday's fixtures. We won't go too much into detail. Matt, if you need to drop off, feel free to go, mate. But we won't go into too much detail about the next section. Just want to go for a few headlines. Just Sheffield Wednesday sit top. Wickham and Portsmouth remain unbeaten. And I was going to just touch upon Shrews are helpless at the moment. And then more so, we know about Shrewsbury struggles, especially up front. But on a quick word on Cheltenham, do you think it's panic stations just yet, or do you think Saturday the next two fixtures will open up to the room? Matt, will come to you first. Do you think Cheltenham will be worrying at the moment, or do you think Saturday will come and they will get comfortable victory against Crewe and their season will kick off?
It's a tricky one. Like Graham said, it's 4 games in, so you don't want to be writing any team off. But at the same time, the longer you start searching for that win, you start thinking about it too much, and then you start snatching at chances, having an extra touch and all that type of thing. But no disrespect to Crewe, in their current guys, I think Saturday represents a really good opportunity for Nigel Atkins men to get going, and I really do think they will. I think Crewe look soft this season, unfortunately. They look like they're lacking in key areas all over the park in terms of defensively, goal-scoring prowess, creativity, and they don't have a plan B for me, and not enough of one anyway. So, no, I think Charlton will win that, get up and running, and then it takes a bit of pressure off Atkins, if there is pressure at the moment after 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's edged out, aren't they, in a couple of games, and MK Dons will be disappointing, but MK Dons are a different beast this year.
I've backed Wigan, MK Dons, and Oxford all to be in the top 6, and so they've played all 3 of them already. So,
yeah, I think they'll be really comfortable Saturday. Same as what you said earlier, Graham. It just be a case of them getting a couple of victories, and they're well on their way, aren't they?
I just think Charlton I quite like Charlton. I know I shouldn't because of the history, but they're a good club, good set of fans, and I just always feel like they've got a cohesive team. And I know sometimes they've had Premiership teams and then they've come down to League One and stuff like that, but I think Charlton will have enough this season. It's not the way they wanted to start, but we've seen teams be bottom of the league and win it come the end of it, like a Blackpool's one last year, which I'm sure you remember, Tom. You were quite far down and then shot up. So, yeah, it's bad, but let's fingers crossed for them that they win a game soon and start going where we thought they would do at the beginning of their season.
Yeah, Ipswich fans have said, please stop comparing us to Blackpool. I'm tired of this seeing it already. But yeah, my last point was really just a couple of shout outs. Really, Stockton's that Matt's alluded to. He knows where the goal is, and I just wanted to shout him out. Not only is he top goal scorer, but he's only had 8 shots, so that's 50% conversion. So credit to him. He really does know where the goal is.
It's almost impossible to get the ball off. James alluded to this on my match preview. He gets the ball into his feet, and then he just backs half a yard. So you can't, as a centre half, then try and pinch it off him because you give a foul away. And then if you let him spin. Steve Evans, I disagreed with on Saturday, and I do that because he's a professional football manager. But I didn't think we'd done a lot wrong defensively at the weekend for the goal. I think Jack Tucker and McKenzie show him outside. They keep pushing him wide. They keep pushing him wide. They keep pushing him wide to the point where he can only shoot because he's got no option on his outside. And all right, it goes through the keeper's hands. But if Jamie Cummings saves that, you say it's good defending. But he looks very accomplished at this level already after 5 games. And I think, what did he get last season in the league? 13 at League 2 level. I think he'll comfortably get the same this season.
He's well on his way, and he only needs 9 more. So
exactly. And if they've got midfielders that chip in with a few each, they'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, he started like an absolute express train.
Yeah, and Jeffricott as well is also up there as well. I think obviously we talked about how Plymouth, we weren't sure. We thought we'd struggle. We thought they would struggle because we said, can they replicate that? And they've got a striker that's scoring goals again.
Mate, it's spot on. Like to say, my last point is Jeffricott. We said, can he get anywhere near? Yeah, just to parrot what you just said. But yeah, and he started, got the winner, got another goal on the weekend. I know Hardy got 2 as well. So those 2 have started a lot. Well, Hardy started quicker than he did last season, and Jeffricott obviously scored 20 goals, whatever it was last season. He didn't get any for the last sort of 9-10 games. So if he can start and stay fit all season and play, then they've got every chance of being comfortable and proving everyone wrong, including myself, who had them in the bottom 4. So
my biggest concern was defensively. It wasn't Jeffricott. They've got goals in them, I get that, but I just thought defensively they were abysmal back end of last season. But they kept 3 clean sheets in the last 4 games, so they seem to be rectifying that issue. And if you keeping clean sheets, you're going to pick up points, aren't you, every game?
Especially with that striker that can score goals, mate. Yeah.
Right. That is the end of today's show. I know, Matt, you need to get off and watch a very serious programme, and Graham, you need to get off to your lovely missus. But thank you, first and foremost, Graham, for coming on this week.
Hopefully
see you next week.
Yes, you will. You will.
And once again, congratulations, mate. That's great news to sort of finish your night.
Thank you. Hopefully it doesn't go like tits up immediately.
I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will. Touching wood.
And Matt, once again, 100% attendance and fantastic insight tonight. So thank you very much.
Pleasure as always.
And that leaves me to say good night. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, and commenting. It's been a really interesting night in terms of seeing your views. And I hope you listen back on the podcast and let us know how you feel. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel and help us grow. We're aiming to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the season, and keep listening to the podcast. But from us at the Third Tier, it's a good night.